something with Liberty of London with that thematic. So where things were different with me, of course, is that
supportive, and I think just naturally I was doing what I've always loved to do, and people couldn't see that more broadly.
Called him that evening and I was like, look, I'm leaving the day after tomorrow. Do you want to grab dinner tomorrow night? And I'm sure.
October 1st, 2025. Picture this. Someone scrolling through the official royal family website. You know, the kind of thing people usually only check when they're bored or curious about who's wearing what crown these days. But this time, oh, something feels off. They notice something strange, and not just a little strange, like jaw-dropping strange. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's pages, the ones that used to have these long, polished, carefully written biographies, suddenly look different, and not in a we updated the layout kind of way. Number, everything is gone. All those details about their education, their careers, their life milestones, poof, vanished. What's left is barely more than a few lines. Actress, former military, that's it. And here's the kicker. Everyone else's pages, totally normal. Catherine, Sophie, William, their bios are still bursting with achievements, school details, charity work, and glowing paragraphs. But Harry and Meghan just wiped clean. People start asking, wait, what happened? Why them? Why now? And that's where this story explodes, because the edits aren't random. Nope, they seem surgical. The timing, the precision, it's almost like someone decided these details can't stay anymore. And when you dig into what got cut, oh, trust me, you'll see. The truth starts peeking through, and it's way juicier than any routine website update.
It's very, very telling when the British monarchy's website deletes details from the bio. In one of
Catherine's page, still pristine. Every degree, every event, untouched. Sophie's, still perfect. Every working royal's bio remains intact, except Harry and Meghan. Their pages were gutted, like someone went in with digital scissors and said, nope, take that out. And that. Oh, and definitely that now. Maybe this all sounds like standard cleanup, but the thing is, the timing, the details, what was removed. That's where people started gasping. Because the parts that vanished weren't random at all. They were specific claims. Things about education, about internships, about accomplishments that, well, let's just say, people had already started questioning. And once you realize exactly what those details were, buckle up, you'll see why this update is way more than just a tidy-up job.
All started with something so subtle most people would have missed it. A quiet update on the official royal family website. The kind of thing.
There's a story buried under this website refresh, a deep one, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. But hey, before we go full detective mode, make sure you're subscribed, because what I uncovered here, it's not just random trivia. There's a pattern, and it's bigger than it looks, because when you see everything that was deleted lined up side by side, the reason behind the edits practically screams out loud. So let's start with Meghan and her education. That's where things get spicy.
It's very, very telling when the British monarchy's website deletes details from the bio. And
for years, the royal website proudly mentioned Meghan's college background, Northwestern University. It even gave specific details, a double major in theater and international relations. Sounds impressive, right? A perfect combo. Creative yet worldly. But here's the plot twist. Northwestern doesn't even offer international relations as a major. They've got international studies. Close, sure, but not the same thing. So, where did that detail come from? A mix-up? Or something more polished than true? Maybe a harmless error? But people online started to dig deeper. Yearbooks from 2003? No Meghan Markle in the graduation photo. Staff at Northwestern remembered she wasn't even on campus that final semester. Put those pieces together and suddenly everyone's wondering, did she even finish the degree the way it was described? Now, the palace could have cleared this up easily. A quick statement, a small clarification. Boom, problem solved. But nope, they went for the nuclear option. Delete everything. Now her official royal bio doesn't mention Northwestern, doesn't mention degrees, doesn't mention anything, gone like it never existed. And the thing is, if everyone's info had been trimmed down like that, maybe no one would have noticed. But when Catherine still got her full art history from St. Andrews write-up, yeah, the contrast hits hard. So that's Meghan's education. Now let's talk about the next thing that mysteriously vanished, her so-called internship.
If you are a watcher of the royal family and you like secrets, you might want to sit down because this...
According to the old version of her bio, Meghan once had an internship at the U.S. Embassy in Argentina. Fancy, right? It made her look like she had hands-on diplomatic experience, the kind of international woman of mystery vibe that sounds perfect on a royal resume. But Plot twist number 2, people who actually worked at that embassy say, that's not how it happened. Turns out it wasn't an official government program at all. It was, as insiders put it, a family favor. Her uncle, who had connections, apparently pulled some strings so she could shadow diplomats for a few weeks. Not an internship, not an official placement. More like, hey, come hang out and see what we do here. Now look, networking happens. Everyone knows that. But there's a big difference between I had an internship at the US Embassy and my uncle let me tag along for a bit. And oh, let's not forget the timing. This was 2002. Argentina was in full-blown economic crisis, streets in chaos, protests.
Something so subtle, most people would have missed it. A quiet update on the official royal family website.
Embassy staff at the time, they weren't sipping coffee in plazas or doing cultural exchanges. They were under lockdowns, strict security, barely allowed to move around. So when Meghan later described it as this dreamy, learning Spanish, dancing tango, soaking in Buenos Aires experience, and insiders were like, that's not what we remember. So once again, the palace had two choices, explain it or erase it, and surprise, surprise, they deleted the whole section. No mention of Argentina, no embassy, no internship, nothing.
It's William. He clearly had a special connection with the Queen and Prince Philip, and it shows.
And honestly, that choice says everything, because at this point, 2 of Meghan's biggest career-building claims had evaporated into thin air. But wait, there's more. Now we get to something that, on the surface, seems small. Like, why does this even matter? But oh, once you see how it fits into the pattern, it absolutely matters. It's about her high school grad night.
It all started with something so subtle, most people would have missed it. A quiet update on the official royal family website.
She's told this story before, multiple times. A nostalgic memory of 1999. Her senior year. Picture it. Disneyland. The magic. The excitement. It was my grad night, she said. We all went. It was unforgettable sweet, right? Totally harmless, except, according to her school's records, it never happened.
Family's website has officially been updated to include the titles of Harry and Meghan's children. For more information on
That year, the school's grad night was canceled. Too few students signed up, so the event was scrapped entirely. There was no official Disneyland trip. None. Now, sure, maybe some students decided to go privately. Maybe Meghan went with friends, but there wasn't any official school event, so now we've got a high school memory that doesn't match the records. Individually, not a big deal. But this wasn't some one-off anecdote. She's repeated this story in multiple interviews, with all the details. Harry's even mentioned it, casually backing her up. And so people start wondering, if the little stories aren't accurate, what about the big ones? For the palace, that's a nightmare. The last thing they want is official web pages turning into targets for fact-checkers. So what did they do? You guessed it, the Disneyland story. Gone, just like the rest. That makes 3 vanished sections from Meghan's page. Education, deleted. Embassy, deleted. Disneyland, deleted. But, oh, we're not done. Because Harry's page, that got sliced up too. And his edit takes us way back to his time at Eton. Now this one's delicate. Eton, that's like the Hogwarts of real life. The place where generations of elites and royals go. Prestigious, old, strict. The academic pressure is real, but whispers have been around for years that Harry struggled a lot. Not just I need extra tutoring struggled, like how is he going to pass level. And apparently one art project became the breaking point. According to those close to the situation, a teacher had to help him far more than usual. Not guide, help. And that teacher later left the school under legal circumstances with a settlement. So yeah, that teacher who allegedly helped Harry at Eton, it wasn't just some friendly tutoring situation. According to multiple insiders, it was way more hands-on than what the rules allowed. And when the school found out, well, it didn't just fade quietly. The teacher ended up leaving and, wait for it, she filed a legal case against Eton. The whole thing got settled out of court, hush-hush style. Money exchanged hands, NDAs were signed, and everyone was told to zip it. But people remember, especially when royal scandals are involved, nobody forgets. Now, here's where things get even messier. After Eton came Sandhurst, the British military academy known for its tough entry standards. It's not exactly easy to get in if you don't meet the academic requirements. So how did Harry manage it if there were already questions about his grades? Exactly. Connections. When you're born a prince, doors magically open, even ones that normally stay locked. And sure, Harry went on to serve bravely and all that, but let's be honest, the path there? Let's just say it wasn't as straight as it looked on paper. Even if you delete a page in 2025, the 2018 version is still archived somewhere. Screenshots, PDFs, web captures, people had it all saved. So now, fans and critics alike are pulling out old versions of those bios and comparing them line by line. You can literally see what's missing, what's changed, and what doesn't add up anymore. When Catherine's and Sophie's stories remain untouched, they symbolize stability, the safe hands of the monarchy. Harry and Meghan's erased bios, by contrast, symbolize volatility, a risk the palace no longer wants to own. Let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just about a web page, it's about how power shapes perception. The monarchy is like a brand, ancient, enduring, and ruthlessly protective of its image. When someone threatens that brand, even unintentionally, the reaction is swift and surgical. Harry and Meghan's pages weren't deleted out of malice. They were deleted to protect the crown's credibility. It's not personal, it's protocol, but here's where it stings. Because for Harry and Meghan, this isn't just history being edited, it's their story being erased. Think about Meghan, the actress who dreamed big, who built herself from scratch. Think about Harry, the prince who tried to find meaning outside the palace walls. Their stories, raw and imperfect, were once celebrated. But perfection was demanded, and when reality didn't align with the fairy tale, the palace chose to remove the mess instead of owning it. In the process, they turned two complex humans into blank digital profiles. And maybe that's the real tragedy here. Not the lies, not the gossip, but the loss of humanity behind the headlines. Because honestly, there's nothing wrong with being a woman who worked hard for her acting career, or a prince who struggled in school but found his footing later in life. Those are relatable stories, the kind of flaws that make people real. But somewhere along the line, image became everything. And when image cracks, institutions panic. Now, as of October 2025, those biographies stand like ghosts, bare, sterile, and emotionless. Just names, titles, and blank space where personality used to live. And for fans who once adored their fairy tale love story, it feels like watching a movie fade to black before the ending. So what's the lesson here? Maybe it's this. When you build your identity on carefully curated details, every questioned fact becomes a thread that can unravel the whole tapestry. The palace learned that lesson and decided to cut their losses. Harry and Meghan are still learning it, one deleted paragraph at a time. Because once your narrative depends on perfection, reality has a funny way of catching up. And yet, there's something undeniably fascinating about watching it unfold. Two people once hailed as the modern future of the monarchy now facing the consequences of their own myth-making. A palace that can delete words but not memories. A public that refuses to stop looking. The fairy tale didn't end, it just got edited. So, October 1st, 2025, mark that date. The day the palace pressed delete. The day the royal website quietly admitted that some stories aren't worth defending anymore. And the day the rest of us realized, behind every glossy royal biography, there's always another version, the one they don't want you to read. That's the tea, the truth, and the tragedy, all wrapped in one royal update. If you've stayed with me this far, you know this wasn't just gossip, it was revelation. Every deletion tells a story, and every silence hides a scream. And with that, we close the page, or rather, the missing page, on one of the most quietly explosive royal mysteries in years. Until the next scandal, darling, keep scrolling.